Good late afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Holly and you're watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney. This is the last show of the day, the last trade, and there's no better way to wind down Monday than with the latest market close commentary. In today's show, we'll be looking at the overall ASX 200 performance for the day and then exploring the gainers and losers. This will be followed by the shares that grabbed limelight today, like Regional Express, Holding Limited, Cement Group, Synlait, Milk, and many more. Then I'll share the trending updates from the Asian and global markets, and finally in the last segment we'll have a special report on cryptocurrencies. So let's kick it off. While a boom in local travel and aviation stocks had the local market sitting pretty with gains today. A morning announcement from the New South Wales government took sentiments high as residents were given a roadmap towards potential international travel later this year. This was further catalysed by energy and materials sectors, who led the pack of gainers.
Netflix is done.
The ASX closed up on Monday, gaining 0.57% over the last 5 days. And the index has gained 1.88% and currently is trading at 3.26% off its 52-week high. 7 of 11 sectors were higher as well, along with the ASX 200 index, barring healthcare, of course, plus utilities, consumer staples, and IT. Energy was the star performer, gaining 1.89% and 10.17% for the past 5 days. Now for a look at the top gainers and losers of the day. Well, the top performer on the ASX pack was global online marketplace Redbubble, that soared over 7%. This was followed by 2 travel companies, that is Flight Centre Travel Group and Webjet. Both soared 7% and 5.3% respectively. Then A2 Milk also made a place in the gainers list today, rising 5%. Shares of the financial services company IOOF Holdings were up 4.6% as well. Then on the other side, Australian data centre operator NextDC shares tumbled 3.7% as Megaport plummeted as well, 2.4%. Then 2 miners received reserved spots in the ASX red zone today: Pilbara Minerals, that fell 2.5%, and Chalice Mining, falling 2.2% as well. Fisher & Paykel Healthcare Corp was down 2% today, very similarly. Now to shift our lens to these stocks that grabbed investor attention today. Well, first up, Country Airline Regional Express saw its shares surge by around 5% after the company notified that it had extended the suspension of its domestic operations and some regional services by the end of October. Rex flies to turn around 60 regional and rural destinations. While the company has no option in light of the current rate of infection, Regional Express's share price had fallen over 30% since the start of this year. Next up, another travel player, Qantas, has cancelled most of its flights scheduled from WA to Victoria and New South Wales over summer and will bypass Perth on its non-stop flights to London because of the state's reluctance to reopen its borders. This would reroute its direct Perth to London flights until at least April of 2022. The airline has not changed its schedule for flights from Western Australia to Tasmania, though, the Northern Territory and South Australia. Shares were up by over 3% today. Now with that said, it's time for a small break, but stay tuned because I'll be right back with more trading market updates. Tune in to stay updated while on the move.
We will tell you where the crypto craze has reached,
Where the property market is headed next.
what the world is doing to become more environmentally friendly.
Apart from tracking the daily market charter.
Be on top of the latest news and announcements
With Kalkine TV. Hello and welcome back. Holly here with the market close commentary for today. Well, let's have a look at some more stocks grabbing investor attention. And Australian pharmaceutical industry's shares were up by nearly 5% after the drug maker received a non-binding proposal from Sigma Healthcare, valuing it at $773.5 million, rivaling an offer from West Farmers. Sigma believes that the rationale for a combination of API and Sigma is a highly compelling one, with significant benefits accruing to both sets of shareholders, the industry and other stakeholders. Next up, CIMIC Group shares were up by 1% after CIMIC's UGL was awarded a contract extension worth $150 million to provide asset management and project-related services at BP fuel terminals across the country. The multi-year contract, which includes engineering and maintenance services, was awarded by Australian Terminal Operations Management, a joint venture between UGL and BP. The extension will generate revenue to UGL of approximately $150 million Australian dollars. Moving on now, and Australia's leading transport fuels provider, Ampol, has been given another 2 weeks to firm up its multi-billion-dollar bid for Kiwi Group Z Energy. The extension period is likely to enable outstanding matters to be addressed and to determine whether key transaction terms and documentation can be agreed upon. Shares were up by almost 1% today. And meanwhile, Synlait Milk shares were up as well, over 6%, after the milk powder maker appointed Grant Watson as the new CEO and reshuffled the board. For the 12 months ending 31st of July, Synlait posted its largest ever loss after 9 years of profitability, as the business's profits slid by more than 100%. Hit hard by the pandemic, Synlait reported a 5% increase in revenue to 1.36 billion New Zealand dollars, but with 138% falls in net profit for the financial year 21. And next up, shares of Dimerix were up as well, over 11% today, after holding its annual general meeting. Notably, the Clarity 2.0 study has now received the Indian regulatory approval recommendation, and having completed ethics approvals on site initiation, recruitment can begin immediately. The biopharmaceutical company also has 2 longer-term opportunities in diabetic kidney disease and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Last but not least, the new Talisman Gold Mines saw an upsurge of 100% in its share price today. This was after the company entered into the final documentation relating to the acquisition of the company Broken Hill Historic Gold Mine. The Broken Hills Historic Gold Mine has been developed and mined by a family group on a small scale for over 20 years in an environmentally sustainable manner. Moving on now, let's have a look at the Asian and global market performance, starting with a look east to the Asian markets who've had a good start to the week. Japanese shares rose today, led by cyclical stocks that would benefit from an economic recovery of COVID-19 lows. As the country plans to lift its emergency measures later this week, the Nikkei share average was up 0.36%. Meanwhile, South Korean shares also rose, helped by strong buying from foreign investors for an 8th straight session, although worries over China's Evergrande Group debt crisis kept a lid on gains. Meanwhile, the benchmark Kospi rose 16.49 points, and Hong Kong shares of China's Evergrande electric car unit plunged as much as 26%. The company may face an uncertain future unless it has a swift injection of cash. Beyond Asia, though, Wall Street closed out a choppy week of trading on Friday through the S&P 500, managed its first weekly gain in 3 weeks, rising 0.1%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also gained 0.1%, and slightly more stocks in the S&P 500 rose rather than fell, with communication services and banks driving much of the increase. Healthcare and real estate stocks posted some of the biggest losses. Now it's time for another break, but stay tuned because I'll be right back with more trending market updates.
Hi there, James Preston for Kalkine TV. Are you into gaming and virtual reality? Does AI and the endless possibilities it entails capture your interest? Or are you constantly trawling through the web to try and discover the latest updates and innovations in the tech space? Well, let us do the work for you. From the latest product launches to shocking affairs on the World Wide Web, exclusive interviews and information about the top companies like Apple and Google to brand new tech startups vying for your attention. Kalkine's Tech Beat has the latest in what matters in the world of technology. Join me every single Thursday on The Tech Beat, exclusive to Kalkine TV.
Hello and welcome back. Holly here with the market close commentary. Let's turn our attention now to the last segment of the show where we're looking at the crypto market performance before calling it a day. Well, the weekends were a tad volatile for the cryptocurrency market. Thin volumes over the weekend usually allow a few large orders to influence the market in either direction. As various equity markets open up today, we could be witnessing an increased volatility across the crypto spectrum. The total crypto market capitalization has gone higher and now stands at 1.93 trillion US. With the markets moving higher, the average traded volume seems higher as well, suggesting a positive outlook for the week. Today, almost all cryptocurrencies traded in the green. Virtual currency Cardano was up 0.72% and has witnessed a gain of more than 3% over the last 1 week. Following suit, Binance Coin was up as well, 4.02%, after witnessing a fall of 10.62% over the last week as well. And Bitcoin started a recovery wave above $42,800 US and 43,000 resistance levels. The largest virtual currency traded in the green today and was up 4.72% to just over 44,000 US. The price of the coin went slightly up after Jack Dorsey's Twitter had officially enabled third-party Bitcoin tipping services for iOS users, giving them the ability to seamlessly pay one another across the globe nearly instantly. Plus, crypto investors opine that China's latest blanket ban on virtual currency businesses could be a blessing in disguise for decentralized exchanges, facilitating direct peer-to-peer transactions without an intermediary. Well, with that said, that is a wrap for today, guys, but I hope you found the market closing commentary very informative. We'll be back tomorrow live from Sydney at 9:30 a.m. in the morning with the first report on our pre-market landscape. Take care and stay safe.